Yeah, no, and you know what? People get so like stressed about this question, and I sometimes feel stressed about answering it because obviously I'm with PFL, but honestly, I feel like times are changing so much, and I feel very happy with PFL. I'm not gonna lie, UFC was always my top goal. I wanted to be UFC world champion, but I feel like just things I've achieved in the sport, my time with PFL, has just been like going so well. I feel I've still got a lot to learn. I've got a lot of wins to get under PFL still. I just feel like things are changing all the time and I'm getting new goals and I feel like I'm not kind of stuck in that mindset of like I want to be UFC world champion anymore.
I mean, if they want to do PFL, well, I'm not really PFL champ, but if they want to do PFL champ versus UFC champ, then I'm happy to do it.
Dakota Ditcheva has sent a clear message to Dana White. She doesn't need the UFC. Dakota Ditcheva has boldly shut down the idea that every fighter must eventually go to the UFC. In a sport where the UFC is often seen as the ultimate destination, Dakota is taking a different path, and she's not apologizing for it.
So late, and that might not even be something that I want to do in the future. So right now I have to go off what this moment is telling me, and right now I'm happy with PFL. So
her focus is simple. I want to be a PFL champion.
If it happens, it happens. But I feel like I want to be PFL world champion right now. I still don't have a belt. There's a lot of different things going on, like MVP, all the boxing that the girls are doing. I feel like just things change, people's goals change. So I don't want to say like, oh, I want to go to the UFC because I don't. I'm happy. I want to win a PFL belt right now. And that's kind of the way I look at things.
For Dakota, success isn't defined by switching promotions. It's about dominance where she is right now. And right now, the PFL is giving her everything she needs. She's being paid well. She's being treated like a star. And most importantly, she's being challenged with fresh, undefeated competition.
I think there's quite a lot of people excited behind the PFL team that are excited about him coming in. And he seems like he really knows the sport really well. And yeah, it could be exciting times for them. You never know what changes.
This isn't a fighter chasing hype. This is a fighter building her own legacy. While many dream of stepping into the UFC octagon, Dakota is proving that times are changing. She's not rejecting the UFC out of fear or doubt. She's choosing her own lane based on opportunity, growth, and respect.
Very difficult to put away.
Oh!
Yeah,
Nice!
Wow. Dakota Ditcheva with the third round finish!
And that makes her dangerous, because when a fighter is fully satisfied, fully supported, and fully focused, they become unstoppable. Dakota Ditcheva isn't chasing the UFC. She's chasing greatness on her own terms.
Win it back. It was a really good fight.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they will. Like, the way some of the people that worked at PFL were celebrating after that win was...
This is undefeated, undisputed, and this is the story everyone in MMA is talking about right now. Dakota Ditcheva fights at strawweight, 115 pounds for the PFL. She is undefeated. She has gone into that cage and annihilated every single opponent in front of her in some of the most violent, exciting finishes in women's MMA today.
Plum and a right hand. Oh, another one!
Big one!
Dakota Ditcheva, right hand and a hammer fist! Another knockout for Dakota Ditcheva!
And here's what makes her story even more special. She didn't stumble into this sport. She was born into it. Her mother was a world champion, full contact karate, kickboxing, Muay Thai, world champion in all three. Dakota grew up the only girl in the family, middle child with two brothers. She moved from the UK all the way to Florida, alone, on her own, planted herself at American Top Team, the most elite MMA gym in the world, and said, I'm going to be the best in the world. And she is delivering on that promise. She's not just a fighter, she's a star. And the MMA world is starting to wake up to that.
The planet right now, fantastic strikers, veterans, future legends of the game here.
For sure.
Santos is in big trouble. She's in big trouble.
Dakota Ditcheva to the body again for a championship.
Now, let's get to the moment everyone is talking about. Dakota Ditcheva sat down for an exclusive interview and was asked point blank, do you have UFC aspirations? Do you want to go to Dana White's promotion? And Dakota, she didn't hesitate. She looked right into the camera and said, and I want you to hear this clearly. I don't want to say like, oh, I want to go to the UFC, because I don't. I'm happy. I want to win a PFL belt right now. That's the way I look at things.
Goals change, so I don't want to say like, oh, I want to go to the UFC because I don't. I'm happy. I want to win a PFL belt right now, and that's kind of the way I look at things.
Boom. There it is. The undefeated, undisputed, most exciting female fighter in the world just told Dana White, I don't want what you're selling. And then she went even further. She explained why. She said the PFL is paying her. They're looking after her. They signed her to a new long-term contract. She said, and I quote, "They pay me a lot of money now."
But I'm definitely scheduled to fight twice a year. I would ideally like three, but we'll see. They pay me a lot of money now.
So,
Let that sink in. Dakota Ditcheva, who the UFC would love to have on their roster, is sitting comfortably at the PFL and saying, "Why would I leave?" And then it got spicy. Because Dana White, a man who is never shy about speaking his mind, took to Twitter to respond to the growing buzz around Dakota's comments. Now, whether that Twitter exchange becomes fuel for a future negotiation, only time will tell. But one thing is clear, Dakota Ditcheva has the most powerful promotion in MMA, paying attention to her every move, and she is unbothered. So where does Dakota go from here? Let's talk about her current situation. Dakota has been recovering from injury, but the update is great news for fans. She says she is back training, back sparring. She says, and these are her words, "I'm ready to fight, honestly." The target return date? July. The PFL is reportedly looking at an end of July slot to get her back in the cage. And if everything goes smoothly, she could potentially fight again before the end of 2025, pushing for 3 fights in a year, which is exactly what she wants. Her contract guarantees her 2 fights per year, but Dakota being Dakota, she's already pushing for 3. Because this woman does not want to sit on the sideline. She wants action. Now the question on everybody's lips, who does Dakota fight when she comes back? There's been talk of Denise Kiel-Holtz, a Bellator veteran, who holds a previous win. There's Ariana Lipski, formerly of the UFC, who just signed with PFL. There's a whole new roster of undefeated girls the PFL has been signing specifically to challenge Ditcheva. And the name that should be in the conversation, Liz Carmouche, a legend, a tournament winner, a finisher, a fighter who at her age is still performing at an elite level. The passing of the torch moment between Liz and Dakota would be the storyline of the year in women's MMA. Dakota herself admitted, if they both win mid-year, that fighting for the belt at the end of the year is very possible. Can you imagine? Dakota Ditcheva versus Liz Carmouche for the PFL world title. That's a PPV level fight. Let's zoom out for a second, because this story is bigger than just one fighter turning down the UFC. Think about what it means when a talent like Dakota Ditcheva, young, exciting, undefeated, marketable, looks at the UFC and says no thanks. It means the PFL is winning the war for talent. It means the sport is evolving. It means fighters have options. And Dakota herself drew the comparison. She's like Kayla Harrison. Kayla was the face of the PFL for years, dominant, unbeatable, and she only left when there was literally nobody left to prove herself against. Dakota. She's saying there's a whole stack of girls to get through first, and that's exciting. That means we get more Dakota, more violence, more finishes, more of what makes women's MMA must-watch television. The UFC will always be the UFC, but right now, the PFL has the most dangerous woman in the sport locked up, and she's not going anywhere. Dakota Ditcheva, undefeated, undisputed, and completely unbothered by Dana White. She doesn't want a UFC title. She wants a PFL belt. She doesn't want to chase someone else's dream. She's building her own legacy. And honestly, we are here for it. Target return, July. Belt in her sights. A whole division of new opponents waiting. And a message already sent loud and clear to the entire MMA world. The dangerous one is coming back. That is your MMA news for today. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop in the comments. Do you think Dakota should ever go to the UFC? Or is the PFL the right home for her? Let us know.
And that may be a factor in this fight. Can Chelsea Hackett get inside, and can Ditcheva keep her out on the end of those long-range punches?
Chelsea Hackett, a name that's been making rounds in the flyweight division, just sent a massive bombshell message directed straight at Dakota Ditcheva. And Dakota, she didn't stay quiet for long. She said, and I'm quoting here, I don't know much about her. Can't really find her on social media. But I'm certain that she'll bring power, speed. She's from the Philippines, so she'll have a tough head. Yeah, I'm fitter, I'm stronger, I'm faster, and I have more experience. A fighter is a fighter, so I'm a fighter.
Don't know much about her. Can't really find her on social media, so, but I'm certain that she'll bring power, speed. She's from the Philippines, so she'll have a tough head. But yeah, I'm fitter, I'm stronger, I'm faster. I've had more experience. A fighter's a fighter, so I'm a fighter.
Now, let that sink in for a second. She said she can't find Dakota on social media. She's calling herself fitter, stronger, faster. She's bringing up Dakota's nationality. This is not just confidence. This is a full psychological chess move. Hackett is trying to get inside Dakota's head before the fight even starts.
With some tough positions now. Now Hackett trying to lift the chin. She's underneath.
She's got it tight. There's the tap.
Chelsea Hackett, submission win in her PFL debut.
But here's the thing about statements like these. They almost always get answered. And Dakota Ditcheva, she answered. Dakota said, "I mean, I'm happy to get the job done. I want to fight again in November, so it's nice to get out without any injuries. I've been training for a long time now, so I would like to have a little bit longer in the cage. But beggars can't be choosers, can they?"
I mean, I'm happy to get the job done. You know, I want to fight again in November, so it's nice to get out without any injuries. But you know, I've been training a long time now, so I would like to have a little bit longer in the cage. But beggars can't be choosers, can they?
That last line, beggars can't be choosers. She's not angry. She's not rattled. She's basically saying, I'll finish this whenever I need to. I just wish I could stay in there a little longer. That is the mindset of someone who is genuinely not worried. That is dangerous energy. And then she took it one step further. Dakota went on Twitter and sent a direct message to Chelsea Hackett. Short, sharp, no wasted words. Just like her fighting style. Precise and devastating. Now for those who still don't know who Dakota Ditcheva is, let us fix that right now. Because if Chelsea Hackett really couldn't find her on social media, she needs to look harder. Dakota Ditcheva is one of the most exciting young fighters in MMA today. She's a Muay Thai specialist with elite-level striking. But here's what makes her truly different. She doesn't panic. She doesn't rush. She stalks. She's calm. She's patient. She's calculated. Watch any of her fights and you'll see the same thing every time. She cuts the cage off step by step. She controls the clinch, and when the opening appears, she doesn't miss. Her elbows are surgical, her knees are devastating, and her ability to read a fight in real time is well beyond her years. She's been described as a rising force, who doesn't just win fights, she makes statements.
Javert looking out of her element here. She's hurt to the body, that's it. The end of the fight. Big shot and a right hand. Big one. Dakota Ditcheva. Oh! And a power.
Let's go even deeper. What separates Dakota from most fighters at her level isn't just skill, it's her timing. She knows exactly when to be patient and exactly when to pull the trigger. That's a quality you usually only see in veterans with decades of experience. Dakota has it naturally, and that is what makes her so difficult to prepare for. You can study her tape all you want, but when you're standing across from her in that cage, feeling that pressure, watching those eyes lock onto you, it's a completely different experience. Hackett may have more professional fights on paper, but paper doesn't bleed. The cage will tell the real story. Let's talk about what Dakota looks like inside that cage, because words only go so far. In her recent bouts, we've seen a fighter who operates on a completely different level. From the opening bell, she establishes pressure. Not frantic pressure, but suffocating, systematic pressure. Every step forward cuts off another escape route. She sets traps with her strikes. She's not loading up for the big shot. She's drawing reactions. She's engineering the moments that lead to the finish. And in the clinch, that's where fights are really won. Dakota secures control. drills knees into the midsection, and when the guard drops she unleashes elbows. Short, sharp, surgical, not to score, to break. The stoppage doesn't come from one big shot, it comes from an avalanche, and by the time the opponent realizes it, it's already over. And here's the thing people don't talk about enough, her gas tank. Dakota maintains this level of pressure and output from round 1, all the way to the finish. She doesn't slow down. She doesn't get sloppy. If anything, she gets sharper as the fight goes on. That is a terrifying combination when you pair it with her technique. Hackett said she's fitter, but fitness means nothing if you can't find your opponent. And Dakota's movement and cage control make her one of the hardest fighters in the division to get clean shots on. This is the fighter Chelsea Hackett said she couldn't find on social media. Look, pre-fight trash talk is nothing new in combat sports. But this situation feels different. Chelsea Hackett came in with a very specific strategy: downplay Dakota, undermine her confidence, and set a narrative where she is the experienced superior fighter. But Dakota Ditcheva didn't take the bait emotionally. She responded with calm, with class, and with a quiet confidence that is frankly more intimidating than anything loud. When a fighter says, "I just wish I had a little more time in the cage," that means they know they're going to finish it. That's not arrogance, that's a belief backed by evidence. And if we're being completely honest, the psychological battle here is already going one way. Hackett came out swinging with words, trying to establish dominance before the first bell. Dakota absorbed it, smiled, and sent a tweet. That contrast alone tells you everything about where each fighter's head is at right now. One is trying to prove something, the other already knows something, and that difference, that mental gap, can be just as decisive as any physical edge inside that cage. So let's get to it. What actually happens when these two meet? Here's the honest truth. Chelsea Hackett is no pushover. She's experienced, she's tough, and she clearly has the confidence to back herself in any room. You don't make it to this level without being a legitimate fighter. Give her that respect. But Dakota Ditcheva is operating on a different frequency right now. She's speaking, she's hungry, and she has something to prove, not to Hackett, not to the fans, but to herself. That internal drive is the most dangerous kind. If this fight goes to the ground early, and Hackett is able to neutralize Dakota's striking, it could get interesting. But if Dakota gets to work her Muay Thai, if she gets into the clinch, if she starts landing those knees and elbows, it will be a very short night for Chelsea Hackett. Our prediction: Dakota Ditcheva by TKO, likely in the first or second round. And when it happens, Hackett will have all the social media she needs to find Dakota after that. So there you have it. Chelsea Hackett fired her shot. Dakota Ditcheva fired back, calmly, precisely, and on Twitter for the whole world to see. We are watching the beginning of something very interesting. And when these two finally meet, it is going to be one for the highlight reels. If you're a fan of fighters who back up their words with real action inside that cage, Dakota Ditcheva is someone you need to be following right now. Drop a comment below. Who do you have winning this one? Team Chelsea or Team Dakota? Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the breakdown when this fight goes down.
.107 for Ekaterina, she passes hydration. 124, she makes weight.
Dana White, the most powerful man in combat sports, has just sent a massive bombshell message to PFL champion Dakota Ditcheva after witnessing the terrifying performance of Ekaterina Vandaryeva, the woman they call Barbie. Her hitting speed, her ferocious power, her ice-cold precision inside the cage. White couldn't ignore what he saw. His message was clear. Ekaterina Vandaryeva is the biggest threat Dakota Ditcheva will ever face. And now, Barbie has fired back with a warning of her own, a warning that has the entire MMA world on edge. Stay tuned, because this rivalry is about to explode. let's talk about why Dana White is so concerned. Ekaterina Vandaryeva isn't just another fighter. She's a three-time Muay Thai world champion who has been destroying elite competition for over a decade. Born on January 20th, 1991 in Belarus, this 34-year-old striker has compiled an incredible record of 58 wins in kickboxing alone, with 16 knockouts. Her teammates nicknamed her Barbie because of her beauty and resemblance to the famous doll. But make no mistake, once that cage door closes, she transforms into something terrifying. Her overhand right is devastating, her kicks are vicious, her movement is razor sharp, and she has something Dakota Ditcheva has never faced before: years of experience against the absolute best in the world. Vandaryeva even holds a majority decision victory over former UFC strawweight champion Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Let that sink in. She beat one of the greatest female strikers in UFC history. When Dana White saw her latest performance, he knew immediately this woman could end Dakota's undefeated run. And then came the call-out that shook the MMA world. Ekaterina Vandaryeva looked directly into the camera and delivered this bone-chilling message to Dakota Ditcheva. Dakota Ditcheva, you think you're the queen of this division? I've fought legends. I've beaten champions. Your impressive record means nothing to me. I am the biggest threat you will ever face. I've been destroying top-tier competition while you were still building your name. It's time the world sees what a true world-class striker can do. Come September, let's settle this once and for all.
Честно скажу, то, что было в прошлом, никак не повлияло на мою самооценку, потому что все как бы понимают, что, например, когда я с Бунта на Супергерл боксировала, как бы были многочисленные экспертные мнения, когда считали очки многие, есть специальные как бы такие фирмы, которые этим занимаются, как бы все говорили, что это абсолютно как бы слитые бои. Что касается, например, тоже тот, да, вроде выиграл бой, пропустил сонную артерию, ну, блин, так бывает, было обидно, конечно, ну, чё так, вот. А последний, да, у меня было просто моральное уже истощение, честно сказать, хотелось уйти из спорта, что я и сделала, но как-то вот ушла вроде месяц назад, буквально Манчепиши предложил мне продление контракта, я просто сказала...
Those are fighting words, ladies and gentlemen. And coming from someone with Vandaryeva's resume, they carry serious weight. The question now is, how will Dakota Ditcheva respond? Dakota Ditcheva didn't take long to fire back. The undefeated PFL women's flyweight champion, riding a perfect 15-0 record with 12 knockouts, took to Twitter to send her own message. I've heard it all before. Legends? Champions? I've beaten them too. Tyla Santos was supposed to expose me. I finished her in 2 rounds. Every single opponent who stepped up has been knocked down. You want September? You've got it. But don't be surprised when I add another highlight reel knockout to my collection. The throne is mine. Come take it if you can. Vintage Dakota. Confidence. Fearless. Ready for war.
Yeah. You got two? Yeah.
At just 26 years old, Ditcheva has already become the youngest champion in PFL history, the first British woman to win a major MMA world title, and the face of women's MMA outside the UFC. Her knockout ratio of 80% is absolutely terrifying. She doesn't just beat opponents, she destroys them. So let's break this down. Who wins if these two collide? Dakota Ditcheva, record 15-0, 12 KOs, 1 submission. Age 26 years old. Style explosive Muay Thai striker with devastating power, strengths, speed, timing, knockout power, range control. Recent win dominated Sumiko Inaba in July 2025. Ekaterina Vandaryeva, record 58-7 in kickboxing, 16 KOs. Age 34 years old. Style technical veteran striker with world-class experience. Strengths counter-striking, fight IQ, toughness, experience. Notable win majority decision over Joanna Jędrzejczyk. This matchup is fascinating. It's youth versus experience. Explosive power versus calculated precision. An undefeated rising star versus a battle-tested veteran. Dakota's advantage lies in her speed, her knockout power, and her ability to finish fights early. She's finished 9 consecutive opponents in the PFL. That kind of finishing instinct is rare. But Vandaryeva brings something Dakota hasn't truly faced: years of experience at the highest level. She's competed against legends in one championship, Glory Kickboxing, and on the global stage. She knows how to survive pressure, set traps, and capitalize on mistakes. If this fight goes into deep waters, Vandaryeva's experience could be the difference. But if Dakota lands clean early, it could be over in a flash. One thing is certain: if this fight happens, fireworks are guaranteed. This rivalry comes at a critical time for Dakota Ditcheva's career. Despite being the PFL's biggest star, Ditcheva has faced frustrating inactivity in 2025. She wasn't included in this year's PFL World Tournament, leaving her without a clear path forward for months. Earlier this year, she expressed her frustration publicly, saying, "I want to fight. This, for me now, especially not having anything even lined up, is really mentally challenging." The good news: Ditcheva re-signed with the PFL in July 2025 after her dominant win over Sumiko Inaba, committing to a multi-year, multi-fight deal. Meanwhile, Dana White and the UFC have been circling. Multiple analysts have suggested trading for Ditcheva, calling her a potential megastar who could become the face of women's MMA globally.
Representing Belarus, stepping into action is Ekaterina Barbie Vandaryeva.
And we're seeing that.
Down goes Garchinska! Wow!
Over there. But she was caught. Maybe the confidence was too high. Barbie connecting with a beautiful shot.
The UFC president has sent a massive message to Dakota Ditcheva about a potential fight with the woman they call the Undertaker's sister, Ekaterina Vandaryeva. And trust me, this is the kind of warning that could change everything. But here's where it gets even crazier. Dakota fired back on Twitter with a message that has the entire combat sports community buzzing.
Plum and a right hand. Another one! Big one! Dakota Ditcheva, right hand and a hand of fake! Another knockout for Dakota Ditcheva!
Let's dive in. So what exactly did Dana White say that has everyone talking? According to sources close to the UFC president, Dana White issued a direct warning to Dakota Ditcheva, telling her that if she wants to truly prove she's the best in the world, she needs to face Ekaterina Vandaryeva, and he's not sugarcoating what that means. White reportedly said that Ekaterina is unlike any opponent Dakota has faced before. We're talking about a fighter who has destroyed legends and won championship, who has competed at the absolute highest level of Muay Thai and kickboxing, and who transforms into something terrifying once that cage door closes. But here's the kicker. Dana didn't just suggest this fight. He specifically warned Dakota that Ekaterina's experience, power, and cold-blooded fighting style could be the ultimate test. This isn't just another opponent. This is the kind of challenge that could define Dakota's entire career. The message was clear. If Dakota wants to cement her legacy as one of the greatest, she can't avoid this fight. And knowing Dakota's fearless mentality, she wasn't about to back down. Now, let's talk about why everyone calls Ekaterina Vandaryeva the Undertaker's sister. People see her and think Barbie, blonde, beautiful, and glamorous outside the cage. But the moment that bell rings, she becomes something completely different. Cold, calculating, destructive. Born on January 20th, 1991 in Minsk, Belarus, Ekaterina has been training in Muay Thai since she was a teenager. Her dedication and fierce attitude made her a standout in the European fighting scene from the very beginning. But what makes her truly dangerous is her striking mastery. We're talking about years of competing against the best in the world. Vicious kicks that can break ribs. Sharp, precise movements that come from facing legends in one championship. And an ability to read opponents that only comes from surviving absolute wars inside the cage. Her nickname isn't just for show. When Ekaterina fights, she brings an aura of inevitable destruction, just like the Undertaker himself. Opponents have said fighting her feels like staring into the abyss. There's no emotion, no hesitation, just pure violence executed with surgical precision.
0.0107. 107 for Ekaterina. She passes hydration. $124, she makes weight.
The question everyone's asking is, can Dakota handle that level of experience and brutality? And this is where Dakota Ditcheva showed the world exactly why she's different from every other fighter out there. After Dana White's warning went public, Dakota took to Twitter with a message that sent shockwaves through the MMA community. Now that is the response of a true champion. Dakota isn't just accepting the challenge, she's demanding it. She's calling out Ekaterina directly and making it clear that she's not intimidated by the reputation, the experience, or the nickname. Fans immediately went crazy in the comments. Thousands of retweets, hundreds of thousands of likes, and everyone asking the same question. When is this fight happening? The MMA world has been starving for a matchup like this. Youth versus experience, speed versus power, the future versus the legend. And now both fighters have made it clear they want this fight. Let's break down what this fight would actually look like if it happens. Dakota Ditcheva's advantages. First, Dakota is younger, faster, and currently at the peak of her physical abilities. She's undefeated in MMA with a record that includes multiple knockout finishes. Her Muay Thai background gives her explosive striking, perfect timing, and lethal combinations.